You guys remember Bakugan? Bro, what an iconic show. In my opinion, the best anime ever. I know what you're thinking. Bro, what are you talking about? Bakugan. This is not even relevant anymore. Was it like a garbage kiddie childhood TV show? What are you even doing? That's exactly why I wanted to talk about it. Bakugan for me is one of my personal childhood favorite TV shows. And it recently just came up to mind and I started to watch it again like slowly and I really wanted to talk about it for some reason, so that's why I'm here. So I'm basically just gonna talk about my favorite seasons, what I like about the show, what made it a personal favorite for me, and some interesting facts in general about the show.
I know this is gonna sound weird, but one day, my whole world changed. You see, cards started dropping from the sky, coming down like rain.
Bakugan originally started as like a card game, but I think everyone has to be honest here, and no one has no idea how it's even played. And they don't even elaborate on it in the show. It's just, okay, I'm gonna use this power now. I am powerful. I beat you now. And it's very simple, and that's basically it, honestly. Now, what carried the show is the Bakugans and the characters. The characters are pretty cool, and the Bakugan designs are also very cool, even though the show is pretty weird sometimes. Like, look at this. My guy's giving birth. Boy just shot out a Bakugan out of his ass. What the fuck is this? Now, even though the characters are one of the better parts of Bakugan, they're still not perfect. They can be pretty stupid. A lot of them are pretty annoying. They get pretty annoying pretty fast. But the battles and the Bakugan just make up for it in general. And even though the show is kind of hard to follow eventually and the card game is very undeveloped, it's still pretty fun to watch. And it's also got some fucking banging tunes, bro. Listen to this. Now, one thing I have to give credit to for Bakugan is that they evolve a lot during the transitions to the new seasons. That they changed their format a lot. You can see that, especially compared to season 1 to season 2, it moves to like a more battle format, and it kind of moves more and more away from the card game aspect and focus more on brawls and cool animated fights, which I personally think was a very good move. I really like it, especially a 10-year-old me. That was fucking awesome. And as you can see in the clip above, they introduced new gimmicks, and then this season they introduced Bakugan traps, which were relevant for a little bit, but then they got unrelevant, and that's what every season does. They introduce a new gimmick that is pretty cool, that kind of impacts the game a little bit, and I also gotta give respect because they kind of try to keep the thing fresh, even though it's kind of getting more and more repetitive as it moves on. Now, Bakugan New Vestroya, aka Bakugan Season 2, as I said before, introduced the traps, but they also introduced this new format where they fight more free form and it's way more like a battle instead of a card game, and it's pretty more entertaining to watch, especially I thought it was, at least. And the characters that they introduce, as cheesy as they are pretty cool, like Spectra, Shadow, Volt, and the Emperor. He is pretty cool as well. So they introduce a lot of new cool characters to the show. They freshen it up, and that's also one thing they do very well. They introduce new guys and they keep the cast going and being different for every season. So Bakugan New Vestroya originally started as like a Save the Bakugan stuff, where the bad guys, aka the Vestals, are collecting and stealing Bakugans and trying to take over New Vestroya, which is where the Bakugan lives. And the Bakugan Battle Brawlers want to, stop it because it's bad. So that's what they do. They try to stop them, and that's basically what the show is about in the first half of the season. Now, in the second half, it's about the Vestal is trying to take the powers of the 6 legendary Bakugans, and to keep them safe, they send them to the Bakugan Battle Brawlers. So every one of the members have one of the cores, and it's basically trying to defend that and trying to prevent the bad guys from making a nuke. So yeah, pretty fun. Now, overall, in my opinion and in general opinion, a lot of people think this season is not the best of Bakugan, They rank the 4 seasons, and this is the worst one. A lot of people think this is the worst one, and I can kind of agree with that. The show gets kind of boring, so like not pretty fast, but it gets boring after a while. A lot of shows, the episodes are a bit filler, and they're pretty boring. The later seasons, they get pretty fast to the point and introduce the action and all sorts of stuff. So a lot of people think this show was pretty. This season in particular was pretty boring. Now I know I said the last season was a bit boring, but if you listen here, Gundalian Invasion is the fucking shit. This season is pretty fucking good. I really like this season. Is one of my, I think it's my favorite, honestly. The characters are now very good. I also like the new guys a lot. Every of the new guys, like the bad guys, are very cool. They're pretty intimidating as well. My personal favorite of the villains are Gil, Erzel, and Nurzak. I think they are very cool and they have very cool Bakugan as well. And I also like their story. Gil is kind of trying to be the commander. Erzel is kind of basic, just following around Gil. And Nurzak is this old wise guy who he started the war and he's trying to, take over, but in his own smart and wise way. So I really like those three. The Bakugan design has gotten really good. They have a lot of cool ones. Like I can't name them off the head, but they'll probably play on screen right now. Also, so they're very low res. It's pretty hard to find good pictures of them. So I'm sorry about that. They're all very cool and it all helps, and this season it moves over to like a war scene, which seems dramatic, I know, but it is pretty cool. I want to talk about a little bit about the villain of the show, which is Emperor Brodius, and I gotta say, he is a very interesting character. It is pretty fun to follow. He's basically like evil magnified, and he does not give a shit. There's one scene where it kills two of his commanders because it just can and he just wants to, and he's such a typical evil guy, and it works because it's a kids TV show, but it's also very fun to see him versus Dan, good versus evil, and they're Bakugan and get to learn about their connection. But here comes another thing that I don't really like. It's like they kind of force Drago to be this god character, even though in the show he originally started as just like a normal Bakugan. But either way, it's still very fun. And while it's not perfect, it is still very good, and I think a lot of people had very fun with it. A lot of people like the new gimmick that they added, which battle gear, which is pretty cool, and I wish it's still in the show instead of going into. We'll talk about that later. But I think this season, is actually very good, one of the better ones, and very entertaining from the start to the end. And now we move over to season 4 of Bakugan, which is Magtanium Surge. Now I don't have much to say about it because I didn't really watch it when I was younger, and I started to watch it now, but I haven't gotten that far. And it's also hard to explain, but at first a few things I did like about it. Now I do really like the fact that they just moved away from the entire power level. Now it's just fighting and reaction and doing moves to counter the other people's moves, and it's not really focused on the levels or how much power you get from a move, which I kinda like. I also like the new characters. Anubius and Salon are also very cool, pretty welcome additions. I also like the characterization of Shun. You get to focus on him. Dan gets also forced out of action, which leads to Marucho and Shun getting more action, which is also pretty cool. Now, something I don't like about the show so far is that they introduced Mectaniums, or Mechas, or whatever you want to call them, and I don't really like them. They're pretty forced in, and they don't really make much sense. I also don't like the Bakunanos, like they're small versions of battle gears. Why can't you just have battle gears instead? They're a lot cooler, you can be more creative with them. And they've also been established, like you don't need to make up a new illegal weapons in the game. Like I don't understand that, which is there's a few bad things, but overall the show is pretty promising. I'm actually looking forward to see how everything works out. I also like how everything that happens earlier in the show has now consequences, and Gundalian Invaders basically Drago becomes God, but now he's struggling to deal with the power and Yeah, it's just cool. It has a lot of potential, so I'm excited to see where it goes. Overall, I think we can all look back on Bakugan as a fun TV show that we all kind of watched when we were younger. Hopefully you watched it. It's just kind of average, like it's an average kids TV show. It's nothing special. It's just kind of average, just existed, and a lot of people didn't watch past season one, and I understand that. It was kind of hard to find, and it wasn't really global, and I had to watch it on YouTube. Funny enough. But in general, I hope you liked this video talking about Bakugan. I'm probably gonna do more talking about childhood TV shows because it's fun. Alright, see you later. Bye bye.